Hello and welcome to Wally Bois. Well, for some time I've been considering purchasing a 3D square. And I looked at the prices online and I thought, what? For that? You must be joking. And I think to myself, well, it'd be very useful to have. Anyway, I didn't press the buy button, no. But what I did do is I went to our local DIY store. Happened to be called Brick and Marche. And I saw something sitting there on the rack, and I thought, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. And what it was one of these. Oh, and as you can see, I haven't even used it yet. I bought this a few weeks ago, and it's been sitting there on this shelf, because I was intending to do a kind of, well, is it unboxing, or is it a review? Well, it's going to be a demonstration, that is what it's going to be. Now, this is a 3D square. Now, if you expected to say 3D square on the shelf for this particular little 3D square, no, it won't. It'll say nothing whatsoever. All it'll say on there is Wolfcraft, which happens to be the make. And these are made in the EU. I'm sure there are other versions of it in the United States, etc. But what it is the model 5208. But they could have just gave it a name, and it would have made it a lot easier for me to do this video. So you can find one online or in your local DIY store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate it. That is my plan. That is what we're going to do. I haven't used it yet, no. And I'm going to have to kind of work out for myself, as though I've never used one before, because I haven't. I've made my own, I suppose. But it's not quite the same. I often just rely on this, or a protractor, or stuff like that. Yeah, other measuring devices of yesteryear. So first of all, we're going to have to get it out of the packet. And I didn't think about that, or did I? Here is a very conveniently placed chisel. So let's cut these older tie wraps off without damaging the actual tool itself. Oh, and here is another one. I'll try not to cut my fingers off too. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it, eh? So, I've now cut through the two tie wraps. I can't see any instructions anywhere. There's a few, pictures on the back, some demonstrations of what it's used for. But quite frankly, you can do a darn sight more than that. I can work it out for myself just by looking at it. But it's only because I've used something similar before. Not the same, no. It's plastic. It's a grey plastic. It feels actually okay. It feels fairly substantial, yeah. But I'm looking at it as a first glance. I can see some angles. I imagine this is a kind of protractor because it has angles from like 10 degrees up to like 90 odd degrees on there and increments of on that edge. There's also another protractor here on the corner. And we have a drill guide here. That's what it looks like to me. I'm imagining that's the number 10. So I'll grab a number 10 drill bit and see. Well, that one here was quite convenient as well. Oh, yes. So that's a number 10, or 10mm drill bit, which is around 3/8 of an inch. Now, another very useful little feature of this tool that I can see are all these little holes. Can you see all these little holes? Well, they are little holes to put your pencil in. And it goes from 0 right up to 55mm. And that'll be the distance from this face here across your piece of wood. So if I'm going to place it on here, it would be that distance here from this side. So we have 10 right through to 55mm. I assume there's 55 holes then. Maybe. Because it starts like 0, 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 to 10. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is. We also have a measure on this here. And this is 90 degrees to this face. As you can see, it's resting on that face there. And now that is 90 degrees. But if I turn it around to that face, can you see that that is 45 degrees? It's actually quite useful, not just for 45 degrees, but finding the centre of a piece of wood. So what else have we got on here? So we've got the drill gauge on the side here from 2mm right up to 10mm. Remember, it's made in the EU, so it's not in Imperial, no. I do apologise for that. We have 2 rules. One here, which is perpendicular. There. And that's perpendicular to this face. But also, we have another rule here. But that is actually quite useful. Quite useful for doing hinge positions. If you want to do repeated hinge positions on a door, for instance, that could be quite handy. But anyway, I'm going to bring you a bit closer so I can show you what else it can do. Let's get you close. So here we have a random piece of wood, which happens to be around 60mm across that way and probably about 90 across here. But that's kind of irrelevant. That's not what this is about. Now, if I was going to do a 90-degree angle here, before I would have used this, which will do the job quite handsomely. That's at will. And I could just draw a line, just like so. But with this device here, the nice thing about it is it don't just do 90 degrees on this face. No. It also can do 90 degrees, if I get the pencil in the right place, on that face as well. So now we have a line at 90 degrees on both sides, which means if we come from the other direction, we'd be able to marry both of those lines up perfectly. So it will make it very easy to cut to the line at 90 degrees when you're cross-cutting with a handsaw. Now, another nice feature of this particular tool, if you're running this along here like so, is this 0 to the 55mm. If, for instance, I want to put a 10mm line across the edge of this piece of wood, I'll tell you what, let's turn that around so you can see a little bit better. Like so. There's 10mm here. All I've got to do is place my pencil in that hole and move it along like so. So now we have a mark here, if you can see it, at 10mm from the edge. Let's make that a little bit darker so you can see it a little bit better. Oh, there you go. That's a bit better. And that's all increments right up to 55mm. So if I want to put one here at this end. So this little Wolfcraft 3D square is also a protractor. So how would you use it, I wonder? Well, I found out the simple way. And that was through trial and error. So let's have a look, shall we? So, with this particular little 3D square, it is really easy to create angles before you actually cut the wood. So let me show you. So first of all, you grab your pencil and you mark where your starting point is. Got it pressed up close to this face, and I just put a line to the end of the 3D square. In this case, we're using it as a protractor. Now, a protractor is used to create angles, isn't it? So let's say, for instance, I wanted a 60-degree angle from that point to here. Well, I go up to where it says 60, I follow that line, and I put a mark where the 60 is, which happens to be just there. And I put a little dot. Not a line, a dot in this case. Just make it a little bit easier to work out where I need to line up the side of this square to that mark that I first created on the edge. So all I've got to do is line up from my little dot to the dash on the side, which was the perpendicular mark, my starting point, you could say. And then I can put a line. I can mark the piece of wood using the 3D square. And as you can see, we now have a 60 degree. Simple. But what if I want a 45? Well, you've got a few options. One is you could use this centre mark here. So from this point here, I could put a line here and there, and then that will be 45 degrees. But also there's one on the other side. So I could go up to that exact same mark here and mark 45 degrees. And those two marks now intersect at that mark. So this here will be 90 degrees. And it's upside down for you. I do apologise. I can't write upside down, but there you go. So now that is 90 degrees. Can you see how useful that is? So there are many time-saving elements to this little 3D square. And did I tell you that only cost me €5? It's cheap as chips, that it is. But with this particular one, we've got a 60 degree and we've got a 30 degree as well. On both faces, not just the 45, no. And then you've got the 90 here and the 90 there. So it is a useful tool. And here you've got your rule. And here you've got your rule. A long hair. You can flip that round if you like so. It is such a clever little device, and very simple and very cheap. Unlike the aluminium extruded versions, and some of them in steel as well. They're quite pricey, I have to admit. But this cost €5. And you've also got your drill gauge, which is actually very useful. You've also got a way of measuring. So let's say, for instance, you've got a random line about here, say like that. Yeah, you've got that random line, but you want to know how far that random line is from that edge. Well, it's quite handy. You can use this 3D square. And look where your random line comes. And in this case, it's about 23 millimetres. Because it's lining up with the 23. Now I've seen it and had a little play with it, like I said, and as you can see for yourself, I've only just got it off its packet. Now I just don't understand why they haven't actually given it a name. No. Why isn't there no name on the packet? There's just a random code on the top corner. There. So that's what you've got to look for, is that. Unless you recognise this, obviously. Now you should be able to buy these in the UK as well. I'm not sure about the United States, whether or not you can get Wolfcraft in the United States. But any EU member state, such as France or Germany, you'll be able to buy one of these. Like I say, it was only €5. I can't get over that. It's such a useful little thing. So I think I'm going to be using that, maybe in my next project. So there you have it, the 3D square by Wolfcraft. And it is something I think I'm going to be using quite a bit. It feels fairly durable. If it breaks, I'll just buy another one. They're so cheap. And it is the model 5208. And it's made in Germany, which happens to be in the EU. I hope you enjoyed my little video of the Wolfcraft 3D square. And I will leave a link in the description down below. But also, have you got one of these? Or something similar? Maybe a speed square or something like that? Please leave it in the comments down below too. Now if you do decide to purchase one of these via one of the links in the description, well, we do receive a small commission. And believe me, it is only small, tiny. But it all helps keep the wolf from the door. Blimey. But before you go, please boop the like button. Ta-ta. Until next time.